Perfect. We are live. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
I'm very proud to speak today to Richard Grannon. Is it, how do you spell it in English? Grannon?
Grannon. It has French roots. You know the name Renault?
Yes, that's what I saw.
Grannon has the say. It was Renault, Ranol, and then became Grannon in the end.
Last year, I was completely lost in my life, in my love life, in my personal life. It was a mess. And I don't know why YouTube showed me one of your videos, and then I become addicted to you and also to know more about philosophy, psychology, even for physical and sports. And you inspired me, my YouTube channel, clearly. It's all because of you. It's all thanks to you. And so I'm very happy to speak to you today. And I'd like you to share a few of your secrets. And
sure.
The first question, and I will try to make them simple because usually I put questions with a lot of sentences. So first of all is, how does it all started? How one day you thought, I'd like to know more about philosophy, about psychology. What happened in life when this is not really a thing we learn in school? This is not really something we speak with friends. How did it start for you?
Well, I think it started when I was a child, and I looked at the world and I could see that there was something very, very wrong. I could see that people were very stressed, very unhappy, violent. They had a lot of ugly attitudes, and were violent with each other. And I couldn't see a cause for it. I didn't see the reason for it. It didn't seem to me to be necessary. And I think it really started there. I think I've been on a lifelong journey to sort of figure out what's wrong. Like why are we like this? Why is humanity like this? So there's been many paths that I've followed, and I guess the most recent iteration of that would be an exploration of narcissism, which is really a psychological term for evil. It's a term for evil itself.
You are someone that is healthy on a lot of levels. You do sports. You've got a coaching program called Spartan.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a sporting thing. The coaching program is a psychology program. When people know that my brand is called Spartan Life Coach, they think I'm teaching like CrossFit, kettlebells, and kickboxing, but it was called Spartan Life Coach because in its inception in 2013, it was exclusively for martial arts instructors. It was life coaching for martial arts instructors, ex-military guys, cops, bodyguards, people like that.
So you are quite fit. You take care about yourself.
I go through phases, yeah. If I can get to a gym, I'll definitely go.
You are interested by psychology,
yes.
by also philosophy also.
Yes.
And you've got something that I don't see in a lot of people, is that it's called holistic in French. Maybe it's the same word in English.
It is.
You've got a point of view and you check it in many other domains.
Yes, I think well, the problem that we face as human beings is multidimensional, and it spans every aspect of our subjective lives, and you can't really fix one thing without fixing everything. So in truth, if somebody, for example, has anxiety and we just try to fix the anxiety, but we don't look at their financial situation, their health situation, their relationship situation, we're not really helping them. We're just role playing that we are.
Okay, and this is why when you explain an issue, you go through all of it. Let's go through Freud, what Freud could say about it, what the society should teach us about it. And it's very refreshing in a world where if you go, I've got nothing against psychologists, but if you go to see a psychologist, he will tell you only about Freud, maybe. If you go to a coach, he will give you some easy answers, maybe with 3 steps to follow. If you take medicine, it's only 1 step. And then you've got all these things put together, which make it very complete, quite full and very interesting in the end. This is what helped me a lot last year, and this is why I bought so many books about all of this.
I think your interpretation is more charitable than mine. I would say that in certain ways, the answers that are given by coaches, by psychologists, and by doctors, they need to be very, very careful now, because I think we're looking at a situation where it's essentially charlatanism. And I say that because if they offer advice and they know no better, that would be ignorance. But many of them know perfectly well that they're offering advice that is non-scientific, counterfactual, and doesn't work. But they still take people's money for it. So many of these people are effectively functioning as charlatans. The people who are, not all of psychology is client-facing. In fact, only a very small portion of psychology is client-facing. But where psychology is client-facing, I think they really psychology must do more to clean up its act.
You speak a lot about narcissism on your YouTube channel. I'll put a link below.
Le narcissisme.
The narcissism. You speak French also, I know it.
I went to Dunkirk when I was a kid and I did an exchange, but I've lived in Spain in the last few years and I kept my Spanish going, and the French is a distant memory. I'm sure I could pick it up again if I spent time there.
Do you think today we speak a lot about narcissists, about toxic relationships? Do you think this is a phenomena that implies more and more people? My English is so bad. Do you think that there are more and more narcissists on us, and is it because of the social networks? You never spoke about it on your YouTube channel. This is why this question is interesting.
Are you asking me if there has been an increase in the incidence?
And could it be because of social networks?
Social networks meaning social media?
Yes, I think like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these things.
I think that there's a lot of factors. I think that I don't think social media is root cause. I think social media is a symptom and a facilitator. It's I'm trying to think. I think it's catalyst. The word would be catalyst. The root cause, after a lot of thinking, and I've been thinking about this for years now, really, I think is probably progress. I think that we're the victims of our own success as a species. As you've read Nietzsche, we effectively symbolically killed God and we replaced God with ourselves. We have enough food. We have the technology to kill people from a very long range in huge numbers. Medicine has advanced. Everything has advanced. Democracy has advanced. And we've become very important in our own worlds. And this breeds self-obsession, which is not the same as narcissism, but it's not far away. You throw into the mix a tendency to see ourselves as very, very important, very, very precious, and to live in a self-centered way. Then we've raised our children in an incredibly precious and self-centered way. Then you add social media, and yes, it's a perfect storm for creating a sort of a broad-scale cultural narcissism. It wouldn't be the same as narcissistic personality disorder clinically, but we definitely are in a phase of, absolutely, we've been in a phase of cultural narcissism for at least 50 or 60 years now.
Do you think if you make a projection, do you think in 20 years it will be much worse than today? It will be worse than today?
Well, it's a strange thing. Sam Vaknin is a guy who I'm sure you've come across on YouTube. He's a professor of psychology. He's producing the best material, most scientific material on narcissism online. And he's worked as an economist for an economic advisor for multiple governments. And he describes narcissism as a self-limiting virus. And I think that that's a useful way to look at it. On our current path, humanity as a fundamentally narcissistic species will simply limit itself. We're ready for a big cull, and we'll have it either through war or disease or civil war. So we will reset. Our progress is not going to continue the way it has been. In fact, I think we can see the beginnings of a regress, a sort of collapse of empire in the way that we saw, in Rome or the Mayan civilization.
How would it be? How would it be in 20 years if there is a reset or a reboot of everything?
I would say that we will become, again, to cite Nietzsche, we will become more steeped in a slave morality, a herd morality. We will uphold mediocrity above meritocracy more and more. We will, I don't know what you say in French. In English, we say woke. Does that mean anything in French?
Like wake up to be a woman?
There's a movement of radical leftists. And in English, the slang is they consider themselves to be woke, but it's radical leftism. You have it in France. It's basically you say a joke and I just say it's racist, or you say a joke and I say it's sexist. Let's cancel you. I don't know what you would call that in French, but as we move further and further into this mindset of trying to cancel everything, making everything completely mediocre and tearing everything down, that's become our obsession as a species now, is not to create, not to move forward, but to go back and to tear things down. We're moving into an anti-science, anti-technology, anti-mathematics, anti-reason, anti-research age. So I think we'll bring about a catastrophe. I think we'll be looking at World War III. I think is very, very likely. And it will be similar to World War II, and that it will be run on ideological lines. People will become infected with a mind virus of ideology. And then we will have broad scale chaos and violence that would possibly set us back a couple of centuries. Rising from the ashes of that will be a neo-feudalism where you will have a few technocratic overlords that rule everybody else. It will be oligarchy for the elites and communism for the peasants like me and you, if we survive.
We'll see. In French, there is something weird in French. First of all, we don't speak about narcissistic disorder. We speak about pervers narcissic. They put two words, pervert and narcissic.
Wonderful. I think that's who I am. I think I just found my identity. Pervers narcissistique. That's me.
We are all a little bit of it. And in English, it would be narcissistic disorder. If I imagine a scale of I'm not narcissistic at all, I'm a little bit, I'm medium, I'm a normal human, and then my narcissism is so big that I come in a narcissistic disorder. Is it possible that today there are more and more narcissism in our civilization, more and more, meaning the medium of it is slightly moving to the extremity, and meaning maybe we've got more and more narcissism globally in the world, and more narcissism disorder. Is it possible?
It's not only possible, I would say it's 100% happened. And I would go one step further beyond your hypothesis. I personally am not sure anymore that the term narcissistic personality disorder means anything. It might have become a meaningless term. If we are all fundamentally narcissistic, then nobody is narcissistic. In an ironic way, we're taking the specialness away from real narcissists. So for me personally, it's not in my personal life a term that I use. It's not, I don't gauge people as to where I think they are on a scale of narcissism, because everybody is so highly narcissistic. I just find it's meaningless now. It's become a meaningless term.
If I speak about, if we look at the numbers, we can see that more and more people go to hôpital psychiatric hospitals victim of my English is not that good.
En français?
Victime de pervers narcissique, victime de
narcissistic abuse victim.
Yes, exactly. More and more people go to the police, go to hospital, and meaning maybe not everybody is becoming narcissistic, but maybe a lot of them become narcissists, and few of them are victim of it.
Well, again, it's a really unfortunate collusion of multiple factors. Of course, we live in a victimhood culture, and so there are doubtless authentic victims of narcissistic abuse, but there are also doubtless people who are obsessed with their own victimhood, claiming to be the victims of narcissistic abuse. There are also, third factor, a type of narcissist who is obsessed with their own victimhood, and they can only experience their own identity as having been the victim of a narcissistic or psychopathic abuser. You know, yes, the claims are increasing. I don't know that that's an indication in and on its own, taken with no other factors accounted for. There's an explosion of narcissism. I think the culture, as you've just indicated, on a sliding scale, has become like very narcissistic behaviors are completely normalized now. When I was growing up, the idea that somebody would point a camera at themselves and take a picture of their own dumb face is just, you just couldn't do that. I mean, it was anathema. People would mock you for being self-obsessed. They would condemn you for being vain. What does being vain mean now? It doesn't mean anything. Self-obsessed doesn't mean anything. Your grandmother posts selfies on Facebook now. It's a meaningless term. So there is that, and then there's the victimhood culture. So you just have, hundreds of thousands of people every day looking for something to be victimized by, who will turn up for their slice of sympathy gâteau because they want to be a victim of something, and they know that they can go to forums, to YouTube channels, and everybody will say, they're there, poor you, whilst they lie about their experiences and convince people of things that have happened that just aren't true. It's a big problem. Like here's a core principle that I would say that would be useful for your viewers. We can talk about narcissism, but I actually think narcissism is a symptom. It's not a cause. A prime cause is not psychological, it's philosophical. Our relationship with the truth is really wounded now. It's very, very badly damaged. And once a critical mass of people in a culture have a wounded relationship with the truth, I mean, it's degenerative. It puts like AIDS in the body of a nation, of a culture, where it can't fight back. The immune system shuts down. I don't know what you call AIDS in French. In Spanish, it's SIDA.
Yeah.
SIDA? Okay. So there's like a SIDA in the body of the entire culture. And any threat that comes, the body just fails to respond. Whatever the threat is, a pandemic, immigration, terrorist attacks, and the body just, there is no cogent, healthy, meaningful response that neutralizes the threat, because our body is infected with a higher order issue that stops defense. And in my opinion, our relationship with the truth is in an abysmal state right now. Really, really terrible.
On your YouTube channel, in 1 year of video, and all of you, if you watch this video today, if you loved Richard, go and see his YouTube channel. I have the feeling that in 1 year, you made a lot of progress. And last year, in what you said, you were convicted of things, convaincu. Yes, you were pointing things and telling the truth is this. And I've got the feeling that more you go and more you learn, and more you discover. Like when I read a philosophy book, I think I know things, and when I discover things, I discover that I know nothing about it. And it's not a criticism at all, but I have the feeling that in 1 year, the more you made your own path in this, and at the end, you were less, how do you say in French? Comme un coach serait moins directif. Directif.
Yeah, direct. You could say directive, I guess.
You are less directive today, knowing that one cause could be multi-factor, not only one big bad guy, narcissistic, not only parents, not only this and this. And today you say maybe. If you say maybe. But last year you didn't. Last year it's because of this and this and this.
Because when I started to look into the philosophy of it more, I realized that what we're doing is everybody is walking around like an empty cup, and it's not a pleasant emptiness. They feel hollow. They're like, oh my God, there's no meaning. They're in like a Jean-Paul Sartre, with the cigarette out, life is meaningless. They're depressed. They're in an existential crisis, and they're looking for things to put in the cup. What do they put in? They put in ideology, they put in dogma, they put in certainty. We used to put in religion, but you can't now. You can't as an adult. I mean, with all due respect to religion, if you and I showed up tomorrow and we chose a religion at random and they said, okay, boys, here's the tenets, this is what you believe, we'd say, fuck off, come on. This is your stupid child story, is not going to work. We're adults. So culture has grown, and we're like late teens, late adolescents with a bad childhood, struggling to find our place in the world. And so we can't take ideology, we can't take dogma. And I realized that no matter what I said, people were trying to consume what I was saying ideologically as dogma, whilst trying to put me in the position of a guru or a priest, which I reject because, I don't even know like what I'm doing tomorrow. I can't fucking tell people how to live their lives. It wouldn't be right. So I put the responsibility back on people. It's very stressful for them because they're conditioned to have the responsibility taken away. And it's lost me a lot of followers, but it's necessary. I have to say to people, look, you have to figure this out because I can't. I'm not even a man for you. I'm an image. I'm a flat image. I'm pixels. YouTube isn't going to save you. A guy making videos once a week on YouTube isn't going to save you. You save you, or else you're fucked. You must save you. Government isn't going to save us. Ideology isn't going to save us. Religion isn't going to save us. What we need is a kind of a renewal of optimism around individual responsibility, and that would be our progress as a species from angry, grumpy teenager with the hair over one eye and black fingernails to actually getting their shit together and facing their responsibilities as an adult, hopefully by the age of 22, 23, 24.
Okay, so what I thought the more you learned and the more the less easy it was to give clear advice, maybe the directive advice. In fact, it was because you didn't want to be seen like a guru, and this is why you soften your ideas, maybe.
Also, my certainty around psychology has really deteriorated in 1 year.
Oh,
drastically.
Yes. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Okay, I think yeah. So I wasn't reading research. I don't. I'm lazy. Like if you make me for a university degree, I guess I'll do it. But every 15, 14 months or so, I would do some research. I'd do some reading. And it was this sort of time last year, we were in lockdown and I started reading research again. And the diagnosis, the diagnosis of psychology and psychotherapy and psychiatry, if you read the research around it is basically charlatanism. It's quackery. And that you can never, to take a philosophical point so that anybody can, you don't have to read the research. Just think about this philosophically as an individual, which everyone has the right to do. Can you divide any cited psychological problem from the culture in which it is found? Meaning, if you put the person on a desert island or put them in a completely different culture, would they still have that mental health issue? And the answer is no, you can't. You can't. So how do I know if I'm depressed that I'm not in a depressing culture? How do I know if I'm anxious that something terrible isn't happening to me that should make me anxious? I don't. Now, if we can't prove that, we then have to downgrade the assertion, the muscular assertion of psychology. You have ADHD, you are psychotic schizophrenic, you are this, you are... No, my friends, no, unacceptable. It's charlatanism to do that. You don't know. Your psychologist doesn't know. People are self-diagnosing left, right, and center. You don't know. Well, I read the symptoms on WebMD. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't know. We need, we must repair our relationship with objective truth. And we can only do that through humility. And I think psychology in certain areas, not the psychology that's almost sociology. It's like the research of how groups of people behave. Okay, that's fine. I'm talking about client-faced psychiatry, psychotherapy, counseling. We really, we either have to clean up our acts or we have to scrap it, because I think it's that bad. You don't see a psychologist anymore. You see a personal philosopher, and then you sit and talk with them, and you reconstruct a new ideology for yourself, a new philosophy of life. I think people would progress far faster than this psychotherapy game. It hasn't. I mean, it's a failure, mate. You know it's a failure. Everybody watching this who's been knows. You'll have a few people go, oh yeah, I felt better after 5 sessions. But most people will say, no, I went for years and nothing changed. Or I went for a few sessions and I was re-traumatized. So I don't have that certainty around the subject anymore at all. In fact, I would say my certainty is it probably is riddled with fraudulent assumptions that force any psychologist into the position of a charlatan.
At the same time, you've got less certainty, and also you seem more apaisé, more calm, with a lot of serenity today, really. If I take your videos from not last year, but few years ago, you were angry with a lot of dilemma, and today you seem with less certainty, but really with more serenity today. You seem having a lot of serenity today.
Yeah, because I think like anybody who is trying to uphold an ideology is not truth by definition. Ideology functions as a kind of temporary, it's not even intelligence, it's an artificial intelligence. It's a system through which you can filter reality to lead you to a foregone conclusion. Whatever the foregone conclusion is, maybe the foregone conclusion is psychoanalysis is great. Only psychoanalysis can save you. Maybe it's only the Lord Jesus Christ or Vishnu can save you. These are ideologies, are things that you sell. They're a product to be sold in a marketplace of ideas. And I don't have one. I don't have an ideology to sell people. In fact, what I have are questions, hard questions. And I don't even promise that you can answer them. I know that you can't. But what I would suggest is that if you wrestle with the questions, you become stronger. Your moral fiber strengthens. So if you start to wrestle with, what is truth? What is goodness? What is evil? The big questions. Everybody has the right to answer these questions. Socrates and Kant were not aliens. They were people. They had 2 eyes and a mouth, and they shit every day, and they put their socks on the same as we all did. Their backs probably hurt a lot of the time. We have as much right as they do to wrestle with these questions. And in wrestling with them, become stronger people, more authentic human beings with a better relationship with the truth. Here's something that a psychoanalyst said that I thoroughly agree with to this day. Well, actually, there's 2. Freud said, one discipline that everybody should adhere to is be rigorously honest, at least with yourself, no matter the cost. And Jung said, the primary job of a psychoanalyst is to lead the client to truth. These are 2 things that these men said that work for me, but I don't respect them anymore as psychoanalysts. I respect them as philosophers and as writers. That's it. That's all I can respect them as, because I don't believe that they unlocked anything. I think they seemed to. I think there was a performative, theatrical element to it. And so the closer we are to truth, the closer we are to reality, the more sane we are. Insanity is always an avoidance of truth and an avoidance of reality. That's a Buddhist concept. That's like, I'm stuck in Maya. I'm stuck in my projections and my illusions. You say, hello, Richard, it's nice to have you on for the interview. And I'm like, what does he mean? Is he a spy for the French government? Does he hate me? Is he trying to, that's psychotic delusion. But that's how people think when they're lost in ideology. They're emotionally dysregulated. They're brainwashed by the TV. You can't speak to them without them layering meaning and counter meaning. And there's a whole fucking dialogue happening inside of their head between multiple splits in their personality fighting for dominance. And you can see it. Like, you walk up to somebody and say, hey, how you doing? And they're like, I'm fine, as they do this microsecond fight inside their head to see which part of the person. And people say to me, oh, are you psychic? And I'm like, no, I don't need to be psychic to watch you fucking twitch when I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to one person. I'm talking to at least 6 people, and they're all fighting to see who gets dominance here. And it's really sad. Like, people are fractured. They're completely fractured, and they're suffering because of it, but they don't know how to escape. And salesmen, charlatans, fraudsters come along and they say, just do this, just pay me some money and do this, and then everything, the utopia is just over there, comrades. You just have to wade through some blood to get there, but we'll get there. And people go for it because they're desperate and they're in pain. It's really hard to sell no ideology. I've been trying for a while. It's a hard sales pitch, mate.
I know you're busy and you've got to go after. I've got two questions. One of them is easy. The other one is hard. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's go easy, and then we'll round out with a hard one.
If you were on an island with one book, which one would it be, and which one should all the people watching us today buy today? One book.
I'm sure there was a break in the connection there. It sounded like you said, if you're on an island with one boyfriend, who would it be?
One book.
Because I'd take Nietzsche.
Perfect.
One book. I think I would find it very sad to know that I only had one book. I think I would be really, really sad if I just had one book, and I would rather have no book.
Okay.
Yeah, just on a point of books. We live in a time where, it's au fait and trendy to say technology is bad and social media is bad, but books are good. Like, if you still read books, you're considered at least a mid-wit intellectual, because nobody reads books, or very few people read books now. And I read a couple of paragraphs by Terence McKenna, and I read a couple of paragraphs by Huxley, and then by Bertrand Russell, all around virtual reality. And what I would say is this: even books are virtual reality. Even books are a kind of social media. And everything that is virtual perverts. It perverts things. And I'm not saying like we should all just shave our heads and sit in a cell in silence. What I'm saying is, I'm never going to let books go, but I'll never let films go. I'll never let music go. My God, life is too short. Why would I not enjoy the good things? But we must be aware that if it's not from you and your perceptions, and it's somebody else's perception, it warps your perception. So on my island, if I'm only allowed one book, I'll take 0 books, and I'll just listen to the birds sing. Okay.
Very last question. You seem to be on a path that started a long time ago, I think. I'm not sure, because I didn't watch the video from before 3 years ago, but I think you went through hard things in your life, and you are on a path today to find serenity, philosophy, all these things. We are all on this path. Some of us are stuck on a part of this path. What to do to make one step every day to know more, to understand more things, to make the thing going forward? This is the hard question.
Yeah, there's multiple things.
How to move on in life.
I'll try and make it as simple as possible. I don't think you can do anything without being honest with yourself. So I would take the Freudian advice: be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with anybody else, at least be honest with yourself. This is a hard discipline, and one that will change your life if you can adhere to it even halfway. It has life transforming effect. So be honest with yourself. Figure out what your values are. You must know what is important to you. You must know what you want your life to be about. And like a company or a brand or a church, you should know your top 5 values. You know, what is it in France? Fraternity, individuality, and liberty.
Liberté, égalité, fraternité.
Yeah, equality. Okay, and liberty. Yeah. Yeah. So a country has values. In England, in Britain, it's theft, colony, and piracy. No, I don't know what our values are. Listen, there's only one way to take over the world, kids, and it doesn't involve being nice. So every human should be able to say, okay, I really value freedom. I really value creativity. I really value my independence and my agency, whatever it is for you. There are lists of values online. You can look them up. So you be honest with yourself, figure out what your values are, and figure out what you don't want in your life. You don't want lies, let it be known to yourself. You don't want mediocrity, then let it be known to yourself. So they're like anti-values. Then with your honesty and your values set in place, live in accordance with them. Live congruently. Live in accordance with what you know to be true. Live in accordance with your values. Don't fucking lie, and don't live a lie. It's easy to do. It's the easiest way. The easiest thing to do is to live a lie and to be a coward, but you will hate yourself and you'll be full of anxiety and depression. There's a quote that I like giving people from the Gospel of Thomas, which is a Gnostic gospel. And it is, if that which is within you is brought forth from you, that which is within you will save you. If that which is within you is left within you, that which is within you will destroy you. That is the key problem that most people who are searching and looking for answers have. If they understand that gospel, they'll have unlocked their potential and they'll cease to suffer. And it's the key problem that our cultures have, because we are not progressing anymore. We're not attempting to fulfill our potential. We're trying not to as cultures, and that effort will destroy us.
I understand.
Somebody really wants to call you. Is it your mom?
This is perfect. It's such an happiness for me to have you 30 minutes or 40 minutes today. It's an honor. I'm really honored to ask you this question. I've got this question since nearly 1 year in my head, and today I'm glad to ask you these questions.
Who's calling you? Is it your mom?
Amazon is calling me. So
Amazon is even more persistent. Are they outside? Are they?
They're outside waiting for me, and it was a real pleasure. And we'll talk to you. I'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Whenever you want, sir, let me know.
Bye.
Thank you.